Hey, housewives, come on in. You know the dirty dishes are still in the sink from yesterday and the laundry is still in the basket. Pop your AirPods in and make yourself at home here.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Tori.
And we are your Unlikely Housewives. Stepping out in faith and believing that God calls the unlikely, we are here to show you the appreciation and validation you deserve, lead you to authentic relationships, and release you of believing the cultural lies to restore your faith and wellness.
Pull up those high-waisted yoga pants, tighten your top knot, and reheat your coffee for the third time. Turn up the volume, and let's go.
Hey, housewives, welcome back.
Hey, housewives, glad you're here.
We're excited to be here for another week and another great guest, and I'm going to let Tori introduce her today.
So Hannah Pierrou is with us today, and we actually got to meet Hannah through one of our other guests, Misty Phillip.
Yep.
And she was like, you don't know her, but you need to know her. And we got to talking about you, and we were like, we have to have you on. So to tell you guys a little bit about Hannah, Hannah is a longtime photographer, designer, and artist. She started the brand and publishing company Treehouse Storyteller as a way to bring wholesome and biblical resources to parents and their children. She is passionate about spreading the gospel and helping fellow parents train up their kids with a biblical worldview. Amen. She and her husband and their 3 kids live in Colorado foothills on a small hobby farm. Hannah is also the host on the new and growing Treehouse Storyteller podcast. Welcome, 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 Hannah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, ladies. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
We are thrilled. And you, biblical worldview, you're speaking our love language.
Well, tell us actually, before we even get into story writing and all that you have created, tell us about yourself, your husband. You said married, 3 kids, living in Colorado.
Yes. So I married a Marine, and I had no idea what that would even look like or mean, but I did that. We're coming up on our, I think, 16th. I'm actually scratching my head going, is it 16 or 17? I think it's 16 years this May. So that's exciting.
Oh, what date? Oh,
17.
Okay, we're the 31st. So, and we're on 16 too.
Nice. Okay, so what year? 2008?
Yep.
Okay, 16. So I was right. I'm like, I really had to think about it this year. That's bad. Okay, I'm sure you hit that point though.
Yeah.
Everyone does. So so we have 3 kids. We were on that like huge 5-year plan, like, hey, let's wait. And then my husband went off to war. He went to Iraq, and it was this like carnal primal instinct as like, I must procreate. Like, I have to have your babies. So as soon as he got home, we got pregnant very quickly with my son. And so I have a 13-year-old son, an 11-year-old daughter, and a 5-year-old daughter that thinks she's probably 16. So that's super fun.
Yeah. Well, so we're right in the middle. So I have got almost 11 and a 9-year-old, newly 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, 11 and 9.
We boys or girls?
2 and 2 for me.
Okay.
All girls.
Okay.
God bless my husband.
Yeah.
Or have mercy on his soul. Okay. So the bio that I read has a lot photographer, artist. I mean, you clearly have a creative heart and mind and soul that God has blessed you with. But the reason that we got connected was because you have your second children's book coming out soon. And that is what we want to talk to you about, because it's on one of those touchy subjects that I just love. So it is called Misunderstood. Will you tell us a little bit about this book?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to tell you all about it. So Misunderstood, a girl with a promise the world forgot is kind of like the tagline underneath. It is really a reclaiming of the rainbow story, as well as just really speaking God's promises to his people. And it's kind of like the Noah's Ark story that no one's written. And I did a lot of research after I wrote this to go, okay, like this has got to be, like someone has had to have done this before. And I really couldn't find it. So it's really a unique side of the story. So I do go in at the very beginning talking through the whole Noah story, kind of like refreshing the reader on, hey, this happened, or the little reader that hasn't maybe heard the Noah story before. And then I really go into kind of from the perspective of the rainbow side of the story. And I do that by personifying the rainbow as a feminine character. So that's why you see the girl with the rainbow hair on the front. Mm-hmm. She's kind of acting as the rainbow, kind of telling the story over the years, how she's been misunderstood and how she's been maybe misused, and she's been used for things other than God's glory and other than God's promises. And I don't go into like a really nitty gritty, like pointing fingers moment in this story, but I really just kind of put a blanket over that of like, hey, she's been misused in various ways, in fabric and clothing and flags that tell a different story. And so that's really how I approach it. And it's a crazy story to me because it's not a book. And I don't know if I told you this before, but it is not a book that I planned to write. It is not a book that I had a vision for. And I'm definitely, like you said, that creative mind and heart. I usually have very strong visionary skills. Like I am the visionary that is like, hey, let's do this. And then I don't really know how to do it, but I have this really big picture and like I can see it. I just don't know how to implement the idea. Well, the Lord just woke me up one morning and he's like, hey, get a pen. And I'm like, okay. And so I am literally just scrambling and writing this. And I kind of not poke fun, but I'm kind of critical sometimes of the people that are like, oh, God gave me this. And then the very next day, oh, God gave me this too. And God gave me this. And I think it's abused a little bit. And sometimes we're walking with the Lord. And so of course we're living out what he's giving to us. But this book was really that kind of crazy story where I just had no concept of it, woke up and I wrote the whole thing from front to finish. So it was really miraculous how that happened, and just an amazing morning that I probably will never forget because I was by myself and able to just write it, and everyone slept for hours that morning, and we homeschool. So I was able to let them sleep.
Yeah, clearly that was a miracle in itself. I mean, like,
I know. Yeah. So, I mean, it was like a sleeping pill over the house. So, but, I kind of close out this story with really just reclaiming what the rainbow was intended for and what the promises were. And so it's just a really beautiful reminder to children and to parents, and to be used as a tool to really speak that truth over our children today.
Yeah.
So when you had this like wake up, and was the rainbow was it the symbol from the beginning when you were thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the whole story was about, and it just was her. Like I didn't think about personifying it. It's just how it came out.
And what's the age for the book?
Really 4 to 7 would probably be optimal.
I was going to say the imagery of that for the kids is really something that, because she's personified, they're able to kind of understand it and relate to it. That's really cool.
And I know our boys are under attack too, but I just, as a woman, I really see our girls under attack. And so I think it's really cool that it was kind of, brought to me from that perspective, because I really do think our little girls are really, truly being lied to and told a different story and told lies.
Absolutely. So Tracy and I have both we've taken our families. Have you been to the Creation Museum? And
I haven't. And I'm so jealous. I have not been.
Gosh. Okay. Yes. So I'm going to tell you, you have to go to Noah's Ark.
Yes.
I mean, you have to take your book, stand underneath the rainbow.
Yes.
And
get your picture with it.
Exactly. And then
beautiful.
And you need, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help you get your book into their bookstore. But I specifically remember T-shirts that said, "We're taking back the rainbow." Yeah. And I was like, gosh, we don't even have to take it back. It's ours.
It's ours.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Really, it's not, I'm not taking anything back. The rainbow's mine. Back off. But yeah, it is something that has been misused, misrepresentative. When we see rainbows on clothing and even just pencils or planners or whatever, just things for the house that you're like, oh, I want that. Or you want that for your kid because the rainbow is special to us. You're like, ah, crap. Did they make this for the LGBTQAI plus community. Like, why?
Yep.
What would you say to the LGBTQ plus community about your work?
So that's one of my favorite questions to answer, honestly. I mean, I love addressing that. I honestly was thinking about this just this morning, how I was picturing kind of this ladder. And I'm like, the LGBTQ community is climbing a ladder toward an identity that is a false identity, whether it's a lie in sexual bondage or identity and gender issues, whatever that is. They're climbing like this endless ladder towards what they believe is going to give them freedom at the top. But it's like, they're never going to get there. No matter how far they go, they're never going to get there. And it really is not about LGBTQ. It's not about gay or homosexual or trans community. It's about sin and anything that's separating us from the Father. And I would say the exact same thing to an alcoholic. Like, you're searching in this way, you're trapped in this sinful idea and sinful lifestyle, trying to feel free from whatever hurts that life is giving you. And you're never going to break free of that by those means. The only way to break through is with Jesus. He is the only one that can break our chains. He's the only one that can set us free. And so really, like, get off the dang ladder, like, get on your knees and surrender your life to the Lord, and He will actually break you from that sin, and you'll feel freedom from that, and you will be living in freedom. That's really like what I was thinking about just this morning. Like, they're seriously like climbing this ladder. They're never going to like get where they think they want to get. And man, it's just, the book that I wrote is really not to point fingers at the LGBTQ. I mean, there's so many guilty parties. Anyone that's really just misused the rainbow for their own misinterpretation or for their own use. Now, can we like have like a good, I think about like grade school, like, hey, let's have a rainbow week and eat the letters of the alphabet. Like, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm not being legalistic about this. Like, sure, use the colors for a fun, good purpose. But really where we get ourselves in trouble is where we are completely removing God's glory from it and really speaking a different story, and from like a religious standpoint. And there's kind of like the yogi interpretation of the chakra use of it, where like every color means a different thing for like, I don't even know all the details, but like through the earth and all of those things. And like that would fall into like that category for me. Like, that's really like misunderstanding and misrepresentation of the rainbow. And it's telling a different belief system than what the Lord has given for us in His promises. So really just speaking to that community, speaking to anyone else in the belief that anything outside of the rainbow.
Okay, another question I had, without giving like your full book away, and we obviously know a few of God's promises are going to be listed in there. Is there one or two things that you would like to highlight that little boys and girls are going to learn, just who God is or what He has in store for them?
Really just God's love for them really is like my biggest thing. If they can understand how much God loves them. Here's a page that's really kind of an identity concept as well as a purpose for us living out God's purpose in our life. And the rainbow does this, and I'm kind of saying it from the rainbow's perspective in the book. However, it's also our job as followers of Christ to live out God's glory and to be doing what we're doing for Him, right? So this is kind of like a little snippet I'll read to you. So deepest down and above highest heights, she's not forgotten the creator of light. With a perfect dance of sunlight and vapor, her spectrum is visible, a performance so spectacular. She relies on His glory and timing He cues to wow the multitudes with her dynamic hues. So really, we all have dynamic hues. We all have beautiful gifts that the Lord has given us. And so that would be an amazing promise for kids to take away from this book. And that would be my heart, that the more they read it, the more that they start to see their identity kind of through this imagery of the rainbow. Like, oh, okay, I can do that too. Like, I need to shine for the Father. I need to shine for the multitudes, for His glory, not for mine.
Yeah. Well, and the uniqueness, right, of each rainbow, because there's sometimes where you can see other colors brighter than the others. And There's some times where you don't see the full rainbow. You just see part of the rainbow. It's funny because I actually went outside right before we started recording. We just had a storm roll through and I was looking and I was like, is there a rainbow? I was like,
there's still a chance for one today.
Yeah. So then it's going to rain a little bit more. So if there's a rainbow today, well, I'm going to get a picture of it. We forget that we are unique and created for his purpose, not our own.
Yeah.
And that we don't have to make ourselves unique. Honestly, it's the closer that we get to him, the more true we are to what he's created us to be. And that is something that these kids, like, I mean, let's be honest, like high school girls, middle school girls, teenage girls, like we all want to be part of the in crowd. And I just wish that as a teenager, I knew like, no, like lean into me. And I have made you to be exactly who you are for this exact group of people that you are with. Like, and they, whether they love you or reject you, doesn't matter. Like, what teenager doesn't want to hear that? So just starting that message, that 4 to 7 range is perfect. I love that.
One other question, and I love one of the things that you said is that it's a sideways culture. So what's the best advice you can give parents in what you call our sideways culture?
Oh my goodness, the best advice. Okay. Well, this is like going through a lot of files in my head to find the best. I always say the Sunday school answer is a Sunday school answer for a reason. And that's because it's proven over time to work. And so us as mamas have to get in the word. And if we are not filling our cup and we are not filling our souls with the Lord's truth, how in the world are we supposed to teach the truth to our children? So we've got to be convicted first and foremost to be just nose to the Bible, like just nose to his word and just reading his word every day. And then we will be, I think, one, encouraged. I think the Lord just really is faithful to us when we are doing that. Like, even if we're exhausted, I've had some exhausting past couple weeks and I just keep going, Lord, like, thank you that I somehow miraculously am getting through the past couple weeks. Cause I really like looking on paper, it doesn't make sense that I'm functioning on the level that I am. Like, just thank you so much. Like, one, I really do believe I need to slow down right now, but also like, I'm really relying on the Lord as much as possible and his strength. And I think he's being really, really faithful in that. And so I think as mamas and parents, like we are living in a functioning out of just burnt out states most of the time. Mm-hmm. And so just really giving ourselves over to the Lord and handing as much off to him that we can and just praying through the day. It's like, that's the Sunday school answer, like read your Bible and pray. Like, but it really, truly does something when you really put it into practice, and it feels cheesy until you're actually doing it. And then you're like, okay, I get this. Like, I understand. That's why we're taught at such a young age to read the word and to pray, because there's actual freedom and actual benefit that the Lord gives us when we are living hand in hand with him and we're relying on him for our strength. And so the sideways culture part of it, man, like our world is so crazy right now. I dropped my son off at our co-op just yesterday morning, and he gets in the door, and it's like the one day a week that he's without me. And I see this guy in this old beat up car, whatever, with his hoodie like up over his head, slow roll the parking lot. And like no one at all should be there unless they're dropping off their kid. And I know pretty much every parent, or at least I know the vehicles. I'm used to who's who. It's a pretty small community. And I'm like, who is this character? Like, who is this guy and what is he doing? And he just slow rolls and then he stops and he doesn't park and then he just leaves. I'm like, okay, I make an effort to go in and say something, because I'm like, the world we live in, like, what's this guy doing? Like, this is a Christian co-op. You just think the worst. And I was the only parent that noticed him. And this other kid noticed him too. Like, one of the high school kids was like, yeah, I totally saw that guy. He was weird. Like, okay, wasn't just me. Like, but you know, like we have to live in almost this like state of paranoia in the world that we live in, because there are crazy people doing crazy things all over the world, and especially in America right now. And we have a huge job on our hands to protect our kids and to keep them safe. And while we can't put them in a bubble, we've got to be wise and rely on the Lord and have open eyes. And so that's the other thing I tell parents is just to really live with your eyes and your ears open and paying attention, because it's really easy to parent going, la, 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 cover your ears, cover your eyes. Like, it's fine. It's not affecting me. But we have to be diligent and we have to know what's going on and how to handle it.
The only thing I 100% agree with you, but I want to just say that I don't think it is paranoia. I mean, paranoia proves not to be real, right? But this is real. It is real. And it is, the enemy does have targets on mama bear's backs, and the thief comes to kill, destroy, and steal. It's everywhere. And a lot of times the enemy starts with comfort.
Yeah.
You feel you're in a safe place because we're at a Christian school. That won't happen here. Yeah. We live out in the country. That won't happen. Like, just little things that you're just slowly like, oh, I'm safe here.
It's crazy. The different opposite though. It's like comfort and distraction. Like, let me get you so busy and so distracted that you don't see it.
Yes.
You think that you're fine and that you're immune to it because you're over here doing all these things. Yeah. And I think I just want to say that, like, you said it was the Sunday school answer, but that is the answer though. Like, no matter what, on the highs and the lows, like, we need to be in the word and we need to be praying. The closer we are to him, the more we are in tune to what he needs and wants from us for our families. Mm-hmm. And I think that whether you're in comfort or distraction, both of those are actually, I would say, the hardest yet the easiest places to fall into for moms.
What advice? Because I find that moms in our demographic, right, you either have the moms who are hot and going to all the school board meetings and are part of all of the action groups and this and vocal. And we go, oh my gosh, how do they have that much energy and passion? Mm-hmm. And, oh, I wish I could be like da 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 da. But then you also have, at the same time, in our demographic of mamas, you have the ones that are in the stage of Ubering their kids to sport A, B, and C, and doing yes, we go to our youth group at church and Sunday school on Sundays, but like, I'm not turning on Fox News. I don't know all the things that are going on around, like, my local legislative. How do we help those mamas get more involved and engaged in what's the culture in the community to know, one, they're not alone, because that's, I think, the enemy wants to isolate them. Mm-hmm. And they put their head in their sands because he wants them to feel isolated. Like, again, in comfort. How do we reach those mamas and grab their arms and say, no, come with us. You don't have to be in front of a microphone and writing a children's book or making a speech somewhere. But you have to know what's going on. You have to realize where the church is headed. And how do we engage those mamas?
Tori, that is exactly why I started my podcast. So I really got sick of being the only one in the conversation to be like, oh my gosh, guys, do you know what's going on? And no one knowing what was going on. I was the only one that knew Iran attacked Israel over the weekend in this group of dance moms that I was with. Like, no, I haven't heard of that. I'm like, guys, you got to pay attention. Like, follow people that are telling you things that you need to know. Like, this is stuff we need to know as believers. But, really, I'm kind of that awkward, you see memes and jokes about me, really, is just that person that I don't know how to do small talk and I don't do it well. I'm really bad at just being like, how are you guys doing? How is your week? How is school going? I'm like, guys, we got to deal with this. How's your heart? Do you know Jesus? Let's talk about it. I'm much more
She's my spirit animal. You're my spirit animal, because I literally just went to an event with a friend and it was a first date with a guy. And she's like, all right, grill him as the friend. And I literally sat down to him next thing and I maybe have said a couple cents. I'm like, okay, so who'd you vote for in 2020? And he was like, oh, we're starting there. And I was like, come on, let's get it all out on the line. And then he's like, and then when I found out that, and I was like, so tell me why. Yep. And we went into all those things. But yeah, I'm with you. We don't have time for small talk anymore. It's what are we going to do? What do we think the Iran and Israel waking up into finding out what chapter of Revelation we're in today. I mean, that is one of my most favorite posts. All right, look out the door. All right, we're there. Okay, cool. So tell us about your podcast. It's called the
Treehouse Storyteller.
Okay.
And I really try and equip mamas, especially. I know I've got some dads that listen to, which is awesome, but really my heart is for us mamas, how to equip children, how to upright parent in a sideways culture is really kind of the little tag that I use on that. But I bring on guests. I kind of rotate between guests and solo. So that's kind of the order that I take there. But I bring on people like Heidi St. John, like people that are on the front lines battling some of these major issues, whether it's education or gender issues with our kids, or really that like different agenda that we don't want coming at our kids. And I approach it from a biblical worldview, and I teach parents as best as I can with these other guests involved, how to navigate these things, how to navigate the public education system, to choose between different things that they have. I mean, we always have a choice which direction we can go with our kids. And it's, okay, what choice do I make? Which is right? And I think we end up paralyzed a lot because we're just not informed, or we don't know where to go to be informed. And so I've become the nerd that is like constantly searching for those resources so that I can spread the word and be like, okay, I did the homework for you so that you don't have to, like, here's the information, or here's the expert that can give you the information. And so I love connecting people together, and I love educating people, even if that means I'm not solving the problem, but I'm pushing you towards someone that can help you solve the problem. And really just exposing the lies. Like, I mean, we dig through all this kind of stuff. We expose the lies in culture, just really educate and equip parents to understanding what's out there, and really with the eyes open concept of just paying attention, and here's what the Bible says and here's what the world says. Now let's like compare, like, how is this making sense? Let's weigh this out.
Yeah. Do you have a story of how you came up with Treehouse Storyteller?
I do have a fun story. So my husband, over 2020, we built a treehouse, and it's really like a cabin that's halfway connected to a couple trees. Like, it's cantilevering off the hillside, but it's definitely like a cabin meets a treehouse design. It's beautiful. It's fully insulated, fully like...
This isn't a kid treehouse thing. This is like your treehouse.
It is. And I threaten the kids all the time, like, guys, if you don't use this enough, like, I'm going to take it over. Like, if you don't use it this week, because there will be weeks that they just don't go out there. And I'm like, guys, it's been a while. I think I'm going to just go make shop in there. Yeah. Yeah. And they're like, no, we love it. We love it. Okay, well, go use it then. But oh my gosh, one of the scariest moments of my life, my husband has me holding up the back wall, and the back wall is like the biggest wall, and it has like 4 windows. So it's super heavy. And he's like, yeah, Hannah, just hold it right there, and then I'll climb up and screw it into the tree. And I'm literally like hands to the wall with every bit that I have pushing against this thing. So I like to say, like, my husband built it, but like, I mean, I really had a very important role at the time.
Yes,
holding that wall up. So
kind of like a good visual there for us mamas, holding it all together.
Yeah. Yeah. So connecting it with the podcast, to answer your question, I was really praying over, like, what do I call this thing? Like, what do I call the podcast? And I had all these different logos because I'm a designer. I'm like designing logos and sketching out names, and I love words. So I'm trying to like piece something clever together. And I'm like, nope, this has to be the treehouse, like the Treehouse Storyteller. Like, we literally are doing life in this treehouse. We go down there to unplug. Like, I want that to be my heart, and my vision is just to have this like space where we can come and get away from everything else, all of the distractions like we were talking about, and really pour into each other. And we've been able to do that a lot. It's really cool. So we had power out the other week, and we were able to do church together. The church was closed because the power was out like through the whole town. And so we just got together in the treehouse and had church in the treehouse. And my husband thinks that sounds really cool. Church in the treehouse. So he said it 50 times a day.
That's just as cool as like cowboy church when people are baptized in horse troughs.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes. We do a lot of that out here too. Like, very Rocky Mountain.
Yes. That's awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for your obedience on waking up one morning. And when God said, grab a pen, you did. Because there are a lot of times where we go, I don't have time for that. Or I need to put a load of laundry in. And we just write it off. Like, he's like, no, right? Grab a pen. So thank you for your obedience on that. And where can our listeners follow you, find you? And then when this book is launched, where can they find that?
So the website is thetreehousestoryteller.com. So the in there is very crucial. And you can find me at Treehouse Storyteller on Facebook or Instagram. And my podcast links and everything are on my website as well. So that makes it super easy. You can pre-order the book on my website right now. I have it in a hardback and a soft cover. And we will be able to have it on Amazon and hopefully other big box stores later this spring, early summer.
Awesome. And we're going to include all of those links for our listeners in our show notes. So you guys can very easily just scroll down and click on those links and go straight to her stuff because we need more encouragement from people like you, Hannah. So thank you so much for your time. And thank you for continuing to be the storyteller that you are.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate both of you.
Until next week, housewives. Bye.
Whether we made you laugh or cry today, we pray you feel appreciated, bolder and braver than yesterday, stronger and more faithful for tomorrow, and living in who you were made to be today.
Join our online community on Facebook, link in the show notes. And be sure to review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you enjoy listening. Until next time, housewives, we give you permission to walk confidently, free, and to be intentional in your slippers or stilettos.